Hello and welcome back to the second episode of the Purple Pig podcast. Now, just a quick note, I'm sure you're already aware of this, but anyone who wants to watch this video 10 days earlier can do so by signing up to my Patreon. But also, don't feel you have to. It will be up 10 days later. You can wait 10 days, can't you? So, or maybe you can't. I don't know. Today, my guest is the same as it was on the first week. It's Charly.
Hello.
Charly, you weren't meant to be the guest today, were you?
I was not, no.
What day is it today?
It's Sunday.
It's Sunday. It's Valentine's Day.
It is Valentine's
It's
Day.
Sunday the 14th of February. The day that this is going to become available to Patrons. I would normally... I had a podcast episode ready to go up today, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
So there was a podcast ready to go up today for the patrons. Patrons of my Patreon.
Yes.
And I went to go and edit an extra little intro onto it this morning, and I realised that I had managed to delete the entire podcast.
Yep.
The entire podcast gone.
Yeah.
Kaput. Delete. So you weren't meant to be a guest in the Purple Pig, but you're happy to be back.
Yes.
So we were meant to have Cookie on. So the next guest of this podcast will be Cookie. We had a really good hour and a half sit down chat, and I'm hoping that what we can do at some point this week is have the same chat.
Yeah.
It's going to be weird trying to recreate it, so actually we might just try and talk about different things. But the guest was meant to be Cookie. Cookie, if you're seeing this now, I am so sorry. I know I've already sent you about 8 video messages apologising. A long story short, on Thursday this week, I started a 32-hour live stream. During that stream, I had a moment where everything was crashing, and I noticed that the folder was open that had all of my OBS stream save files in it, and I was like, oh, I don't need any of those, and I just deleted them, and then they went into the recycling bin, and I instantly emptied my recycle bin.
Who does that? Can I just say, who does that?
The problem was that I was about 17 hours into a stream, and I was just like, I was just a bit tired. I was a bit delirious. Things were going wrong. I noticed it was open. I was like, oh, maybe I don't know what I thought. I was like, maybe I'm using too much space on my hard drive. I don't know how big these video files are, blah, blah, blah.
Felt like the right thing to do at the time.
Yeah. and then today when I opened up my editing software, I saw that it couldn't find the file, and I instantly knew what had happened. Yeah. And I instantly knew it wasn't there, and I looked everywhere to try and find it anyway, like in the hopes that maybe somehow I was mistaken, but no, I wasn't. Anyway. So welcome back to the Purple Pig.
Thank you.
We've already asked you what your ideal pub is like.
Yeah.
So you've already told us that you want sort of a quiet village country pub sat by the fire with a huge selection of G&T and a bar person with extensive knowledges of those gins, so they can tell you which ones you want rather than the other way round. So we know what your ideal is today, but is that what you want the Purple Pig to look like today?
No, today the weather is horrendous outside. Like, it's blowing a gale, it's raining, it's horrible. So I'd actually quite like to be in one of those pubs that's like by the riverside.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So you want it to be like
on a sunny day, not with the weather today. On a sunny day, pub by the river.
So are you trying to say that we're in a beer garden right now?
We're in a beer garden, yeah.
Okay, so the pub can be the same pub, but we've entered into the Purple Pig pubs beer garden.
Yeah, you
That's
did
easy
this
to
to
say.
yourself, by the way, with the peas.
Yeah, there's too many peas. That's my
Your
own
own
fault.
fault.
All right, so describe the garden. We're by a river, are we?
Yeah, we're by a river. We're not far from the river. It's quite like low down, just like a grassy verge.
Okay.
And it's just nice and peaceful.
Nice and peaceful.
Good vibes.
Lots of people in their sort of summer stuff, just chatting, having a good time. Mm-hmm. Are you drinking gin and tonic today? I mean, no. I know that we've both got drinks right now.
We do.
Shall we get them on camera?
Our drinks.
We're both drunk.
We're being a bit fancy, actually, because we have actual left beer in left glasses.
Cheers. Chin chin.
Cheers.
This is significant, isn't it? Because we weren't going to have any beer until our birthdays on the last podcast. But since the last podcast, we've both had our birthday. So we can now drink beer. But So today we're in a beer garden. Does that mean
Yeah.
we're...
I think I'm probably going for like a nice fresh lager.
A lager?
Or like a fresh pilsner.
A fresh pilsner. But something light and...
Light and cold and, yeah,
okay
fresh.
for summeriness. All right, well, here we are. We're in the Purple Pig's beer garden. I wasn't expecting to come out here so soon into the show.
Yeah.
So we touched upon it there. It's been both of our birthdays since the last podcast, hasn't it? It was a bit weird celebrating birthdays during lockdown.
Yeah, I think we did the fairly classic lockdown birthday. We spent quite a lot of time on Zoom, which was nice. Lots of Zoom calls, drinking on Zoom. It's always good fun. And then just lots of just being on the sofa, really.
Yeah, I mean, to put it into context, we're here just the two of us. We're in your mum's house, but she's not here at the moment. So we're here just the two of us. So there's only so much that can be done when you're in lockdown when there's just the two of you.
Yeah.
So what did your birthday look like?
You might have all have seen actually what my birthday looked like because there was a lovely Instagram story made of it.
Well, of the morning, certainly.
So we woke up, coffee, presents on the sofa with a fire. We had a morning fire, which I would recommend. It's lovely.
Yeah, it was nice, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were both off work, so that was nice. What did we do then? I think we went for a walk.
We did.
Had a nice lunch.
Yeah.
I don't really remember. It was only a week ago, and I don't remember.
No, but you've pretty much got it right there.
Yeah.
And then we did a.
I went to a conference online. That was good. I went to a wellbeing conference, wellbeing in sort of hospitals and things.
And what was I doing whilst you were doing the conference?
You were talking to Cookie doing the podcast.
So it all comes full circle.
Yeah.
I hadn't even made that connection until just then, by the way.
Just remembered
So
that.
there was a bit in the middle of the day where we both did work, where I did the
Yeah.
podcast with Cookie.
Yeah.
And you went to a conference with work.
Yeah.
We Zoomed with your mum, which was quite nice.
We had and my sister as well. We had some champagne.
We had some
we hadn't had
champagne.
champagne since Christmas,
Little champagne.
which sounds ridiculous. But
Lit-
little champagne. It was very
very good.
Very good.
Only £20 a bottle, which is quite a lot for a bottle of anything, really. But
But not champagne.
not champagne, and it was good.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
It was
We
good.
Vivino'd it, didn't we?
We did.
And it came up as quite a good purchase. Yeah, so it was quite chilled. Not that I want to try and overshadow your birthday, but maybe I think probably we should talk a bit about my birthday.
It started much the same way.
It did start much the same.
Coffee on the sofa with presents and a fire.
You lit a fire, yeah. It was a good fire as well.
It was, but it ended very differently.
It did. It did.
In fact, it didn't end for a very long time.
It was weird that initial moment where we woke up and we did presents and whatever felt like a birthday. But then the rest of the day was sort of completely different. So I'm sure most of you realise by now that we're alluding to the fact that I did a 32-hour live stream. So it was my 32nd birthday, and I did a 32-hour live stream to celebrate my 32nd birthday, to try and raise £3,200 for Mind, the mental health charity, which we successfully did.
We did.
We successfully...
More than successfully did.
Actually, we over doubled it. The price is how much we've raised is still going up, by the way.
It is.
But I wanted to raise 3,200, and at the moment we're exactly £4,000 over that. So, so we more than doubled it. So it was a huge success. But yeah, so it meant that the morning of the birthday was quite stressful. It felt like there was a lot to do. There was a lot of running around.
Yeah, you were running around, making sure you had everything you needed, trying to get out for some last minute fresh air.
Yeah, I had a quick walk down to the
yeah.
shop, and it was really just a practical walk as well, because I think I had to post something. I can't remember. I walked down to the shop to do something completely mundane.
Came back with a load of scratch cards.
Yeah, proved to be quite a popular purchase.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a bit of a different birthday.
It was very different. It was very manic. The morning was the morning I felt stressed. But then we did the 32-hour live stream. Now, this is sort of my own fault. But last year on my birthday, I was working.
Yeah.
And I didn't tell anyone at my work it was my birthday. I didn't want to make a big deal of it at all. And consequently, the day was kind of a bit flat. You know, just like...
You didn't have a great birthday last year.
No, it was, you know, my own fault. I could have told people it was my birthday.
Yeah, it's never nice to work on your birthday.
And people work on their birthday all the time. I don't want to make a big deal of it. This year I still sort of didn't want to make a big deal of it, but then I thought, well, maybe I can make a big deal of it, but not make it about me. So that was quite nice. It was quite nice to have that opportunity to do that. So I suppose what we should probably do, and it's no offense, Cookie, but this is actually probably a better time to do it than in 4 weeks' time when the stream is a distant memory. Maybe we should talk a bit about the stream. When I said to you, I'm going to do a 32-hour stream, what were your initial thoughts?
I'm going to go back to this again. Like, I've never ever watched a live stream. I didn't really have a concept of what they were. I mean, obviously it's a pretty easy concept to grasp, but like, didn't really get the point of them. Like, streaming is usually just like pure gaming, and I'm not a gamer. John's not really a gamer. Oh,
they know. If any of them watch the stream, they're well aware that I am not a gamer. We spent most of the time playing...
I'm not a gamer either.
Oh, that's a good point. You played games on the stream, didn't you?
I tried, yeah.
At one point in the stream, I needed the loot, and I was playing Crazy Taxi on the PS2. And Charly at that point decided that she wanted to step in and have a go playing Crazy Taxi. And you'd never played a PS2 game before, you were telling me.
Never.
Which is mad.
Although, I did play Grand Theft Auto once, a long time ago, on a console.
Oh, that would have been a PS2 probably.
Yeah,
then.
So there you go.
Okay, so this was it was your second ever experience of playing a PS2, and you were doing it in front of like 100 people or something like that.
I felt the support though. I think people said that's the most anyone's ever improved on a PS2 game that's like ever within the space of like 5 minutes.
But the point, but I've derailed you completely there. The point you were making is we're not gamers.
We're not gamers, so the streaming thing was a bit rogue, really, because I was like, well, you're not a gamer, so why would you stream? The 32 hours kind of just made sense. Yeah. If you're gonna do it, you got to do it properly, I guess.
Yeah.
I wasn't. People were very concerned about whether you were going to sleep over the course of 32 hours. Now, I know that you're a very determined person, so I sort of knew that wouldn't really be a problem.
What, staying awake? Staying awake,
because you're very determined and you're very headstrong almost, and just like you know what you want to do. If you want to do it, you got to do it. So I knew that kind of wouldn't be a problem.
Right.
And I knew you'd eat a lot of sugar and stuff as well. So.
Well, I bought a lot of sugar. I didn't actually end up eating that much, but we'll get to that.
So when you said you're going to do a 32-hour live stream, I kind of thought, that's fairly typical John, but what's a live stream? Was kind of my thought process.
Yeah, you were very supportive. I think you were very confused about what I wanted to do because you didn't quite understand what I wanted to do. I remember you sort of being like, and what will you do? And to be honest with you, it's a good question to ask because I didn't really know what I would do.
Yeah, I think when you first said like 32 hours, I was like, okay, so you need to plan hour by hour what you're going to do. Like, what's the schedule? And you were just like chilled. You were just like, I'll play some games. I'll chat to people. And I was like, what is going on? It's 32 hours. You need to have a timetable. Because I'm a timetable person. I'm a list person. I'm a timetable person. I'm a schedule person.
We differ there, don't we?
Oh, yeah.
We differ there greatly because I'm not a timetabler or a scheduler.
No.
And I'm very happy to go with the flow. And that was my... that was how I imagined the stream. I imagined the stream and the people watching the stream and chatting in the stream chat. I imagined them sort of dictating where the stream went.
And they did, because there were so many people there with like so many opinions on what should happen next.
Yeah.
And when I started to see that, I was like, oh, okay, I understand why he didn't schedule the whole thing now, because he didn't need to.
Why we just let it go with the flow.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, you were very supportive, if not confused. And I think you're a bit concerned.
Yeah, I get very concerned for people's well-being, and I just thought it's going to be painful, basically, to stay up for that long, and like your neck and back were going to hurt, and you were just going to be so uncomfortable, and I hate the thought of that. It's
Well,
horrible.
surprisingly, with the neck and back thing, I was very fortunate to get these new monitors, and because sometimes when I'm editing, I lean in. But because I wasn't editing, I wasn't really leaning in. So actually, at the end of it, my back and neck, they weren't in tip-top condition, but they didn't feel the strain of like even just a few hours of editing can do sometimes.
That's good. Yeah, and you had a couple of hot baths afterwards.
I did have a couple of hot baths.
Yeah.
The amazing thing, really, about the whole thing. Well, first of all, I want to say like you were very supportive of the stream. There was a lot of people that were just very, very concerned, and a lot of people that just didn't understand what I was doing, and a lot of people that whenever I told them, they didn't know what to say other than, right, you're going to be knackered.
Yeah.
Like people seem determined to tell. I don't think it came from a bad place. It just came from not knowing what to say. People seem very determined to let me know how awful it was going to be.
Yeah.
Which I think is fair. Because it is...
Like, when you're a uni student and stuff, like, you do stay up all night. Because there's nothing else to do. But, like, you're an adult now. So adults don't stay up all night.
You say that, but when I was a uni student, I don't think I ever really stayed up all night. Not properly. I never pulled, like, an all-nighter. Because here's the thing. I work much better first thing in the morning than I do last thing at night. So whenever I was at uni, I was a sort of an anomaly in that I would much rather go to bed at 11. Say I had to do a last minute essay. I'd rather go to bed at 11 and wake up at like 4 or 5 and crack on than stay up until it was done. But I know a lot of people would say, no, I can't sleep until it's done.
A lot of my friends would like literally plan to do an all-nighter. Like, it wouldn't be an accident or anything. It was like, no, I'm gonna party and do whatever the hell I like, and then I'm gonna write that essay throughout the night before the deadline.
But
and
I think
that was how they functioned.
I think a lot of people at uni realise that they need the fear.
Yeah.
To help them keep working.
Whereas my version of an all-nighter would be, I'd go out clubbing, I'd get back at 4 or 5 in the morning. I would then go to sleep for like 2 hours.
Right.
Which, does that make it not count? It probably makes it not count. But I'd go to sleep for 2 hours, and then I'd get up at 7, go to the gym, and then be at my 9 a.m. lecture.
This is what I mean.
Carry on through the day.
This is what I mean. I'd never done an all-nighter before. Like, I'd never... Like, I think I'd been awake until, say 6, 7, 8 in the morning. But I'd never then carried on the next day.
Yeah.
As though the night didn't exist. I'd then sleep. Even if I didn't get to bed until 8 in the morning, I'd then sleep.
I think the closest I've come to doing like a proper all-nighter was, I think I was flying back from like Peru or something silly like that. It was an overnight flight, and it was 13 hours because it was with like KLM, which they just do stupid long flights. So it's like 13 hours back. We flew into Amsterdam, and then we got transfer to fly into Manchester, I think. And we got in the early hours of the morning, and I didn't go to sleep. I wasn't really sleeping on the flight, because who sleeps on flights? And then I stayed up through the day, and then I went to sleep in the evening, and I slept for 13 hours straight.
Yeah.
So...
See, I didn't sleep for 13 hours, did I?
You slept for 11, though, which is a lot for you.
Yeah.
A lot for you.
I normally wake up at, say 7 o'clock most days?
Yeah.
Sometimes earlier.
Yeah.
So... I think I slept until 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
And we went to bed at 10:30.
Yeah.
So it wasn't quite 11 hours, maybe 10 and a half hours. But that felt like a long sleep.
It was a very big sleep for you.
Yeah, I think so. And then I suppose let's talk about the fallout before the stream, because the weird thing about the stream was that when we were saying about the all-nighter, is weirdly it just didn't feel like 2 days. It just felt like one really long day, which I suppose for me it was just one really long day where it happened to get dark in the middle. I think I said that phrase in the stream a few times, because it was really quite hard for me to comprehend at 9 o'clock the next night that it wasn't the same day as when I started the stream. It was quite hard to wrap my head around that.
Yeah.
So but when the stream finished, I was sort of surprised, because we finished this. We'll get to how it all went, but we finished the stream quite strong. Lots of high energy.
Yeah.
We were getting donations right up until the last minute. The chat was going mad at the end. There was just like this sort of wave of positivity, and it just like crescendoed to this absolute incredible high. And then we pushed stop, and it took me quite a while to sort of compute what had gone on. So the way I sort of thought of it was, we pushed stop, and it was like if you try and shut down a computer, but there's loads of programs running.
Yeah.
Like, that was the way I thought of it. Like,
yeah.
Like, you sort of freeze, and then it goes, this program's still running. Are you sure you want to shut down?
Yeah.
Like, so.
Yeah, it was a bit like that.
So you took a photo of me in the chair, which I then posted on social media, and then I sort of posted it on social media, and then I kind of stayed like that, looking at my phone.
You didn't get out of your seat for a good 20 minutes.
And this sounds awful, but you were doing things around me. You were like cleaning up, you were clearing up,
Yeah.
you were sort of like pottering about, like, right, it's finished, and in order for us to get to bed, let's just get all this done. And I wasn't even aware that was happening.
No.
I was just sat there. I wasn't, like, as soon as it finished,
It was literally, that's such a good analogy. It was literally like when you try and turn your computer off and there's so much going on, because it was like, you know, the screen stays on for a while, and like that was you just like sitting in your chair, just sat there, like frozen, and then like things were popping up and your phone was going a bit mad, and like we were watching the end of the chat, and like people were still there.
Yeah, that was really nice actually. We ended the stream, and then there were still people talking in the chat.
The chat was still going bam, 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 bam.
And then there was people talking in the chat to see who would be the last person remaining in the chat.
Yeah.
And then someone said something like, imagine John could still see this.
Yeah.
And then I was, imagine John reads all this tomorrow, I think they said.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, imagine he's actually reading
Yeah.
this. And they loved that. But
Yeah.
it was mad, wasn't it? And then, but yeah, it was just taking a while for it to all shut down.
Yeah. And then we did go and have a breath of fresh air, but a very, very brief one. We literally walked to the end of the lane and back, which is like 100 metres.
Yeah, because I didn't want to do it. Basically, what happened is, during the stream, I kept thinking to myself, I want to experience outdoors. I want to experience fresh air. And then as soon as it finished, and I'd eventually managed to like raise myself out of the chair, I actually couldn't be bothered to do anything at that point, could I?
No.
And my mind was still racing, but my body at that point just went, you are tired. You know, like, you are seriously fatigued.
Yeah, definitely.
And we stayed up for maybe, I think we went...
We were up for a good hour and a bit.
I think the stream finished at about 25 past, and I think we were probably lights out in bed at 15:15. So it didn't take us long to get there. It took us about 50 minutes. But, you know, I think people thought I'd be in bed even quicker than that.
You were funny because you sat in the chair. You were sat in the chair and we'd just finished, and I was like, right, okay, come on. I was trying to get you to just get out of the room because I just thought we can do this in the morning. You were like, no, I can't go to bed without tidying this up. So I was like, right, okay. So I started tidying up everywhere, and he's still sat in the chair, like, just in a daze. I just tidied everything up, and I was like, right, now when you get out the chair, get out the room.
you
And you were just like, yeah.
It was mad, wasn't it?
Quite amusing.
I can't remember where we were going with this, but then the next day, I think that's where we were going. The next day, we just didn't do anything, did we? Yesterday.
No.
We're only kind of just recovered today. I think there's still a bit of hangover from it, to be honest with you.
You have a lot more energy today than you did yesterday. Yeah. Yesterday you were really, like, I think your head was really foggy, and
I felt
just tired.
I felt jet lagged. Now, fortunately, I've never suffered too bad with jet lag, and I've always recovered with it quite quickly. But it felt like that first day. Maybe like the first day when we were in Australia and we were doing things, but I was kind of just like not really aware of what we were doing, or things like that. Just like, I felt jet lagged. I think that's the best way to describe it. So we did not a lot yesterday, did we?
No,
we
not
sat
at
on the
all.
sofa.
Yeah.
For most of it. I did the calculations. I think I had the duvet on me for about 60% of the day.
Yeah. And we watched WandaVision.
We did watch
People
WandaVision.
in the chat were going mad about WandaVision.
We watched the Six Nations. We
did watch the rugby. We
watched the
watched
first half of
football.
Spurs until I realised what I was watching, and I couldn't be bothered.
Decided what was the point. We got a takeaway.
Takeaway curry based on the stream.
I think I remember it being Caroline B. Just in case you end up watching this, saying that it was going to be her birthday today.
No,
or
yesterday. It was her birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Caroline.
And there was some suggestions in the chat that you should get an Indian takeaway. I don't know if you did, but we did for you. So
yeah, we ended up having one. I hope you did as well. If you see this, I hope you had one.
It planted the seed in our minds, so we had a takeaway, which was really nice. and very rare for us. I know like you've now witnessed us having 2 takeaways in 1 week. Very, very rare.
No, actually, that's true, isn't it? It's
usually like a takeaway every couple of months. Like it really is rare.
And that's even in lockdown, because we live in the middle of nowhere, really,
Yeah.
don't we? So nowhere... I always say nowhere delivers here. That's not quite true, is it?
It's not quite true, but the takeaways that we want don't deliver here.
Nowhere good delivers here. At the beginning of lockdown, we tried, like, there was like a pizza shop down the road, and we're like, well, let's give it a go. And it was terrible.
It was late and it was awful.
It was really bad. It was really late. It was really expensive.
Yeah.
For what it... Considering how bad it was. So when we got the Domino's in the stream... there is a Domino's sort of nearby, but you have to go and pick up.
We're like only just out of the catchment, like literally probably about 50 metres. I think I've seen the catchment area before. We're like 50 metres out of it.
So, but yeah, the context for that means that we never have takeaways. Yeah. We never have takeaways, which is probably good for us in terms of keeping healthy, because we cook a lot. But it has felt like a real treat this week to have a Domino's and a curry.
Yeah.
But the second day of the second night of the stream, I didn't really have dinner.
No, neither of us did.
We had a cheese roll.
Yeah.
Which is also probably why I felt so tired, because I didn't eat enough during the stream.
But when it's the same, like when you're jet lagged, isn't it? That you it's not just the sleep that's messed up; it's your eating cycle that's messed up.
Everything's messed up.
So you just like your body's just like, I don't know what you've done to me. So we're just gonna flatline, basically.
It did. That's what it felt like. It felt like flatlining. It felt like I was crashing.
Yeah.
So, anyway, good point. Let's have a little sip. Let's go to part 2. And seamlessly, part 2. So I think I explained this in the last podcast, but because we're recording, this camera only records for 30 minutes. So yeah, there we go. Before we went into the next bit, I thought we'd just go through some of the comments from the last podcast. Mm-hmm. And then we'll get to talking about the stream, actually what happened during the stream.
Yeah.
So I hope that this is okay. So basically this is an episode that this morning, first of all, we didn't know was happening.
No.
Because I was meant to have one out. But secondly, we thought because the 32-hour stream happened so recently that actually it might be quite a good idea to cover it and get our thoughts and get our feelings and how it went and how it goes. So we sort of talked about the sort of build up to it, and we've talked about how things were after it. So we've kind of done everything but the stream. But first, I just want to go through some of the comments from the last podcast, because obviously you were the first guest in the Purple Pig as well. First of all, we got Yo Jemmy, who was a big part of the chat as well during the actual podcast. Yeah. So big up Yo Jemmy. Do you remember what you said you had eaten your meal deal?
Yeah.
So she said, you mentioned Pret salt and vinegar crisps, and she said those Pret salt and vinegar crisps are the best crisps ever to have existed.
I mean, they are.
I don't think I've ever had them. I just don't think I have. I don't get Pret that often, I don't think.
Okay, well, we will rectify that.
Yeah, but...
Because you're a big fan of salt and vinegar crisps.
I am, but they have to be really salt and vinegary.
They are.
Well, Yo Jemmy, we'll have to take your word for it. Ben Rowland said, this is a delight. Also agree with Fever Tree Tonic. I think a really good tonic can carry a rubbish gin, but not vice versa. Yeah. So we were talking about gins and tonics and our favourite tonics.
It's very true. It's very true.
It's a very middle class discussion to have, but we landed firmly on Fever Tree.
I don't know if it's that middle class. Everyone's drinking gin and tonic.
Gin has become big, hasn't it?
It's not a fancy drink. It's just a gin and tonic.
I always, when I was younger, considered gin and tonic to be an old person drink, because it's what my nan and granddad.
My grandma and granddad always used to have a gin and tonic. It was very much an old person drink. And
they were the only people I knew that did it. My parents never did. And then, I don't know, something happened about 5 years ago, and we were like, oh no, we like gin and tonic.
I don't know how it came back and became so trendy. Because
even when I was at uni, I don't really remember. I was at uni before you, obviously, but I don't remember anyone at uni drinking gin and tonic now. Whereas I bet you, if you went to uni halls now, gin will be all over the place.
I didn't drink gin and tonics at uni, and I don't remember people drinking gin and tonics.
That's what I mean. This is a fairly new.
Like, we would go out for cocktails. We mainly would drink vodka or rum.
Vodka.
Like, it wasn't gin. It wasn't gin. Definitely wasn't gin.
See, that was even classier than mine. There was a lot of Malibu knocking around at ours.
Maybe we're just the old people now, drinking the gin and tonic.
Maybe. Well, no, yeah, maybe we are. Maybe we are. Barlow Daniels said, "Love the pub idea. it's good to be able to relate to guests and everyone's been to a pub. So thank you very much. Also added that the podcast should be called The Boy and Podcast, like it's a pub name. The Boy and Podcast. I mean, we're sticking with the Purple Pig.
But that is
a very good shout. But
if we run into any like copyright issues with the Purple Pig down the line, we can go with the Boy and Podcast.
The Boy and Podcast. I kind of wish I'd thought that now, because I do feel quite committed to the Purple Pig idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, as Charlie says, if anyone tries to sue us because we find out that there's something major called the Purple Pig, which I don't think there is, I've googled it.
Yeah.
We will change it to the Boy and Podcast.
Yeah.
Or maybe like the Boy and Podcast is like a sister pub. Anyway, we'll consider that at some point. Meg got in touch and said, "Oh, love you two. This was great. Was really a nice way to get to know Charlie." I thought that was quite nice. Do you think? How?
I realise I nod my head a lot and like don't say.
Yeah, this is a
anything, which
podcast.
Doesn't really work
it's
for
audio.
A podcast, so sorry about that.
It's mainly audio.
It's because I'm still aware that there's a camera pointing at me.
But
so.
you just know.
But yeah, thank you, Meg.
To anyone who's just listening and got this playing in the background, Charlie nodded at that point.
I nod a lot.
How do you find, like, Meg makes a good point. Like, you've had sort of a baptism of fire the last 2 weeks of getting to be known by the viewers.
Yeah, I feel like people understand you and our dynamic a lot better now. I'm still not quite myself on camera because I find it really weird. I tried to explain that when I was like on the stream last night. God, it feels like it's never ended still.
Yeah.
But yeah, like on the stream, I was trying to explain to people how I don't really like being on camera. But I do feel like, having done the stream, that I know a lot more of your community and a lot more of your subscribers a lot better now, and that's really nice.
I think, like, I don't think anyone's themselves on camera. Like, I like to think that this is like a pretty decent representation of me, but we don't normally talk like when we're talking to each other, we don't talk like this.
No.
This,
that would be funny,
you know,
wouldn't it?
if you were sitting there watching us at the dinner table, we're going, yeah, so how do you think it would feel about it's just, you know, it's heightened and it's dialed up, and it's like, because you're very much aware that this is for other people's entertainment and that other people are going to be watching it, and if you know that other people are going to be watching it, you're going to be way different to how you are when you know no one's watching. So I think it's okay to be a bit different, but I think you've been pretty much yourself on the podcast, and I think you've been yourself. You were yourself on the stream.
If we're talking about me being like dialed up, then it's definitely fairly true to me.
Yeah, I think so. Thank you very much for that comment, Meg. And then we got Johnny. Where have we gone now? Johnny Johnson, who said, "Lovely bit of stuff there, like the pair of you." So that's lovely, isn't it?
Nice.
People don't just like me; they like us as a pair. I'm actually starting to worry that people like you more than me.
Yeah, well, they can like me all they want. They're still not getting a channel, so.
Because on the stream, there was big love for you, wasn't there? The chat was going mad every time you came on.
I think people just found it really amusing because I'd sort of sidle into the room, you'd piss off, I'd sort of sit down and go, so. And then because there was like a bit of a lag between like chat coming through and like me sat there, I'd sit there for just a minute and be like, there's nothing to say. Like, come on, talk to me, give me something to talk about.
It's a bit mad actually, isn't it? Because, so we should put that into context. You would come into the stream when you were awake, whenever I needed the loo or anything like that, you would hop in. And I think we calculated that of the 32 hours, you were on the stream for about 4 hours or something like that. You did 4 hours of the 32 hours, sort of, because you took part in right. Okay, so you were there for the end, for the last hour. You were very much part of it. I think you came in at about 50 minutes to go.
Yeah.
But then we ran over, so you were probably there for about an hour then. You were involved in the we played Quiplash, didn't we?
Yeah.
With Robbie Knox, Alfie Indra, Dan Trelfer, Cookie, and a young man called Fraser.
Newcomer.
A newcomer. And you got involved in that. And that was about an hour and a half. And then we rounded up with the other ones. It might not have been 4 hours, it might have been under, but there was lots of little 5-minute sections where you were diving in and like taking over whilst I went to the loo. And then you sat there and had dinner with me, which was about 15 minutes. So I think maybe it was just under, but it was, you were there for quite a big chunk of the stream, weren't you?
Yeah.
Which was quite fun.
It was good.
So I suppose let's get into it. Let's get into the actual stream. How do you think it went? Just going to go broad.
What a question.
Just going to go broad.
I obviously think it went really well. I
Mm.
don't think it could have gone better. I think there were just so many people in the audience all the time being so like they were so integral to how it went.
Yeah.
Because they were just so energized and with it and like interacting like every step of the way, and that was so important. Because imagine if people were there but just hadn't been that chatty. Like you'd have been sat there like, there's like 24 more hours and none of you are like talking to me.
I think it's okay. I was sort of prepared for that though. I was
Yeah.
prepared. I wasn't expecting the chat to be as chatty as they were. That's why I got so many PS2 games out and stuff, because I thought, well, worst case scenario, I just play the game and we talk a little bit.
Yeah.
But the chat actually made it so that it was more chat than games.
Yeah. Which I think, given that you were raising money for Mind, a mental health charity, I think it was so amazing that people were talking so much because it just felt like that was right for that kind of thing that we were doing.
Yeah, so that's a good point actually, and we should touch upon that. So yeah, the stream was for Mind, and the reason we've not mentioned that is because I'm pretty sure that most people that are watching this podcast watched the stream or were certainly aware of the fact that it was going on and what it was about, because not a lot of people had a lot of time over those days to watch the stream.
Yeah.
But it was for Mind.
Yes.
It was 32 hours stream on my 32nd birthday to try and raise £3,200 for Mind. So part of the idea was that it'd be a 32-hour sort of chat, 32-hour sort of address about mental health and making people feel comfortable about the idea that it's okay to talk about mental health and inviting people to talk about their mental health or their experiences with Mind. And also, I think, 32 hours where people could drop in, and for that time they wouldn't feel lonely, they wouldn't feel alone, or they'd feel like there was friends or a community, or maybe it was even just to sit and listen. I think there was, the chat was always crazy, but considering that there was always around about 100 people watching, there was maybe only ever there was always the same people talking and then other people interjecting, so there was lots of people that were just watching, that were just were just taking it all in. So that was sort of the idea, wasn't it, to sort of do that. And sort of have this sort of platform where we make mental health hopefully a slightly less taboo subject. Do you think that was? I
think it was great. And I think you got the balance right, because it was important to keep bringing it back to why we were there. Because it would have been so easy to just sit there and play games and just like hope that the donations came in. But actually, we really wanted to talk about mental health, and we were like, you would stop every couple of hours, give some facts about Mind. Let people know what Mind actually does. It supports people. There's helplines, there's internet forums where people can go to get advice and find information and support. They do so much good work, and that's just like Mind, because there's Mind UK, and then there's lots of local Minds, and they have different support services where you can go in for one-to-one chats and all sorts. They do so much good work. And you kept bringing it back to that and talking about it, and at that point people would share their stories, share like personal things that had happened to them, their experiences with Mind or just their own mental health experiences, and that was just amazing. And also
the other reason that was particularly amazing is because whenever people shared their stories, it encouraged more people to share their stories. So I was so grateful for people like actually being a bit vulnerable in those moments, and also it helped because I would then interact with those stories, and that helped with the donations. So people sharing their stories and sharing their experience really helped, and it's huge credit to everyone that was watching to how well the stream went, because it went well because of who was watching.
It definitely did.
So that was good, and just to when I was doing the stream, I was quite mindful of the fact that people don't want you to just bang on the too much. When you watch Comic Relief or Children in Need, like, the worst part is the bit where they talk about the charities, and I know that that's not a nice thing to say, but I've seen people fast forward.
Or just go to another channel while that bit happens.
Yeah, but those bits are important because they're the reason why you're doing it. So I was trying to get the balance right, because you do have to do those bits, because every time we did those bits, that's when the donations went up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, or there was a more significant increase in the donations, and what's the point in doing the stream if we're not going to do it for the donations? That was what it was about the entire time.
Yeah.
And we took sort of huge pride in the fact that that's what we were trying to achieve.
Yeah.
So I've said a dozen times why I chose Mind. I feel like I banged on about it for 32 hours why I chose Mind, and part of the reason was because I used to work for a local Mind, so it's a charity that it's sort of close to my heart. But do you want to take it a little bit? Why do you think we chose Mind at this time? Because you helped me choose the charity that we were going to do this for.
Yeah, I mean, I think you deep down knew all along that it was going to be Mind, or at least a mental health charity, but I'm not actually aware of many other big mental health charities in the UK. I think there's quite a lot of smaller ones.
There's loads, and it depends on the angle that you go down as well.
Yeah.
Because there's also there's like suicide prevention charities like the Samaritans, and there's a lot, but we're more familiar with Mine because I worked for them for a bit.
But yeah, but when we were sort of discussing it and trying to work out sort of who you would support, I just kept saying Mind because it just made sense at the moment, because everyone is so, everyone's so upset just all the time because things are not how they should be. We're not with family and friends. We can't go and see people. We can't. Everything you do, you just have to think about. Like, even just going to the shop, you have to think about it, and that just feels horrible. It just feels so uncertain and unstable. So, everyone's mental health is being affected. Like, even the most positive of people, and we're in such a privileged position, and we've said so many times that the vast majority of the time we're actually doing okay. But we're pretty positive people. We still have days where we're just like one of us or both of us will just be so flat, and it just feels horrible.
But for me,
even if we get out of that after a day or so, you still just feel that horrible weight of just anxiousness and just being so upset. And it just, like, what I mean is it just affects everyone.
Yeah, and even more than that, it's not just being flat or being upset. I think so many people have had like increased anxiety, increased feeling of hopelessness, increased intrusive thoughts, increased feeling of isolation.
Yeah.
I think before the global pandemic hit, I think that there was already we were already sort of in the middle of a mental health sort of crisis. It felt like,
definitely.
And now it's a mental health. On the Mind website, they describe it as a mental health emergency, and I think what you were trying to get at is that has only been exacerbated now by a global pandemic. It's affecting even more people now, and the people that poor mental health was affecting before, it's even more likely to affect them worse. So more so that than anything. So I think that was our reason for doing it. And I don't want to get too heavy. This is meant to be a light, fun podcast. We're in the pub, but also the part of the idea behind the pub motif is you go to the pub to have a chat sometimes and to talk things out. So that was our reason for, because it was what we wanted to raise money for. You helped with that idea very much, didn't you? So yeah. So anyway, that's the Mind bit done. Yeah. That's the mental health bit done. That's why we were doing the stream.
Yeah.
We've already talked about how well it did in terms of raising money. It got off to like a mad start.
Yes.
It got off to like a crazy start. Like within the first hour or so, well, less than an hour, within the first hour, I said, if we raise £300, and I can't remember what target I said. It might have been by an hour and a half in, I think, I will eat a bird's eye chili.
Yeah.
And I think I ate that bird's eye chili in the 44th minute.
Yeah.
The 44th minute of a 32-hour stream, and I was already eating bird's eye chilies.
It was an intense start. Like the first, I think, because that vibe sort of went on for the first 5 or 6 hours.
Went on for the first few hours. It was
just really intense, like target-driven donations and challenges. And I just remember I was like, this is amazing, but wow, he is being put through his paces here, because this is rough for a start.
It was a very rough. It was not the best foundation for a 32-hour stream. in terms of my physical health, but it was the best foundation, I think, for setting the tone of the stream and for the donations, because the target then got raised to £550 and I'll do the cinnamon challenge and we hit that within an hour and 15 minutes or something like that. And I had to eat a tablespoon of cinnamon.
Teaspoon, but yeah.
Teaspoon, sorry.
A tablespoon would have been a different story entirely.
But what I will say is I did it. I didn't cough it up. I didn't struggle. Yeah. All these videos you've seen of people that can't do it, making a big fuss. I just ate that. I gobbled that down, swallowed that down.
I did talk to you about it afterwards, and you were like, it was horrible. It was so strong and dry. I think you only didn't spit it out because you had all your equipment in front of you and it would have been such a mess. Yeah, including
the thing that was right in front of me was a brand new keyboard which you bought me for my birthday that day.
And I was like, don't you dare cough all over the present I bought you.
So, but there was a reason why we raised so much money early on. Do you remember this?
Everyone remembers this. Craig.
So there was a gentleman in the chat called Craig. Whenever we were miles away from the target, so I think the first target we were like...
We were a good £100-200 away.
He just dropped...
And he just dropped it in there.
I think the first one we were 100 away, and he just put 100 in. And then the second one we were 250 away, just put 250 in.
Put it in there.
And I don't know who this Craig is. We've never spoken before.
No.
But what I will say is I don't know from the course of the stream whether he really likes mine or if he really dislikes me. Because whenever I was miles from a target and I was never going to reach it, and I was thinking to myself, well, at least I don't have to do the horrible thing.
Yeah, I've got away with it here. I'm not going to have to eat the chili or the cinnamon.
He would just drop the money in that would make up the difference. And I think we figured out in the end that Craig, I think, donated £1,400.
Yeah.
1,400?
Yeah.
From one guy.
Bit crazy. Yeah.
Very crazy. So I what else did I eat then?
Butter.
Yeah, that was grim, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Do you remember how that came about?
Robbie Knox.
Yeah, so...
Who I don't remember this, and I'm going to apologise again. There was a whole Robbie Williams thing, I don't like Robbie Williams, and apparently I said I don't like Robbie Knox, and it was a pure slip of the tongue. So we're just going to address that now. I do like Robbie Knox, think he's a great guy.
Sure.
Don't like Robbie Williams.
I'm not so sure how much I like him after the butter.
Yeah.
So Robbie Knox very generously, I think he donated £50, and he said eat a big spoon of butter. And at first when I read the donation, for some reason in my head I read it wrong, and I was like, peanut butter, I can do that.
Yeah.
And then the chat were like, he didn't say peanut butter, John.
He did not say peanut butter.
But I definitely read that. I wasn't trying to dupe people. I was just I think in my brain I just thought, well, no one could be mean enough to say butter. He must have said peanut butter.
Yeah.
And I didn't do it just because he gave a big donation, but I then used that as an opportunity to say, right, okay, well, if we hit this target within this time, I'll eat a big tablespoon of butter. And Robbie Knox had very much started that sort of train of thought.
And lo and behold, we hit that target.
Yeah, I can't remember if Craig played a part in that or not, but...
I think he probably did.
Now, of all the things I ate, and I ate a bird's eye chili, I ate a teaspoon of cinnamon, I took a huge bite out of an onion, which you did as well.
2 chilies at once.
I ate 2 chilies at once. I licked a Nintendo Switch cartridge.
Which I wasn't there for, and I still need to know the backstory on that.
That was sort of an early morning stream. Basically, Nintendo Switch cartridges have got things on it that so that kids won't swallow them.
Oh, did it taste bad?
It's vile.
Really?
Yeah, it's really not good. It tasted toxic.
Oh gosh, right.
You know, there was a horrible shot which was half pastis and half genepi.
Yeah.
Which are both drinks I don't like. No. You know, just of all these terrible things that I put in my body, and the list is vast.
Yeah.
The tablespoon of butter was by far the worst. It was easily at least 2 times as bad as everything else, if not worse.
I could tell from your face when you put it in your mouth that you were really upset in that moment.
It was genuinely...
it was really traumatic for
genuinely,
you.
I felt sick.
Yeah.
I thought to myself, I can't carry on the stream. I thought to myself, I'm actually going to be sick. I then thought every time for the next... Well, even now that I thought about it, I could feel it.
Yeah. I could see. I think at one point someone brought the butter thing back, and it was fairly soon after it, and I literally saw you gag.
Yeah, and it was easily the worst thing.
Yeah.
And I am saying this. I genuinely think now having done it, I genuinely think no amount of money can make me do it again.
No. I think you would do it for like 100k for Mind or something.
Right. No amount is an exaggeration, but it was so unpleasant that no amount that I think anyone is actually able to offer.
You certainly wouldn't do it for whatever target it was. I think it was £200 extra.
I'd need to see the money on the thing as well. I'd need to see that 100k before I did it.
Yeah.
But you're right. I probably would do it for an amount of money, but no realistic amount of money that someone could donate would make me do it. Mm-hmm. It was bad. It was bad. So that was sort of how the stream started. I think within the first 5-6 hours, it was just like, what can we get John to eat?
Yeah. We just hit it hard to begin with, but like you say, it set the tone for the whole stream, and it got that community vibe going. Yeah,
I think let's talk about that. Let's talk about the community vibe because. You know, a lot of people were saying in the stream, "Oh, well done, John," blah blah blah. But how are you still? The thing that people were surprised at was how I looked so awake the whole time. How am I still awake? How have you not slept? Because here's the thing: I genuinely didn't feel sleepy once.
No.
You know, I never had heavy eyes. I never had a bit where I struggled to stay awake. I was always wide awake. There was bits where my body felt a bit fatigued. But even that I didn't notice because I was sat in a chair. The only thing I would say that I did notice every now and again was just my mind was struggling to keep up. But I never felt physically tired. And I think that was evident at the end because by the end I was stood up shouting, yelling. We were, you know, the last hour was just a hype train of excitement, wasn't it?
But what did get tired was your throat and your voice.
Yeah,
people husky.
People did start to notice that because that's the other thing. I was presenting, you know, for 32 hours because I was very aware that the thing that was keeping the lovely vibe going was the fact that it was a conversation. Yeah. So I couldn't just stop and not talk and play a game or something. I tried it a couple of times and it didn't feel right. The conversation was what kept it going. So yeah, my voice did go. But people kept saying to me, how are you still awake? How do you seem so bright? You know, people even suggesting that I might have taken some sort of illicit substance
Which he did not.
Categorically did not. But, you know, to keep me going, because there was moments where, you know, 20 hours in, 25 hours in, 30 hours in, where I was dancing.
Yeah.
And the dancing was mostly to, like, trick myself into thinking I had energy.
Yeah.
But the thing that kept me going was what you just said, was that community vibe. I mean, we just had to, it just felt this, like, it just felt like a 32-hour wave of positivity, didn't it?
Yeah, it was like a proper party almost.
Yeah, it felt like a 32-hour party where everyone was in a good mood.
But like a chill party.
Where everyone was in a good mood, everyone was in a good everyone was being nice, and everyone was just giving money to charity. It was just like, there was just like this insane, and like every time I could have possibly felt tired. I just looked at what was being achieved by everyone there and how generous people were being, both with their stories and with their time and with their money, that I just there was no way I could feel tired. There was a point at the end where I genuinely thought I could do another 10 hours.
Yeah.
I mean,
I wouldn't have let you.
If I'd have had to have done 10 hours, I might have felt differently. But at the end, the energy was still there, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that the thing with the community as well, and we've discussed this a couple of times, it was so positive, and I don't think I've ever witnessed such positivity on the internet, because so I was a moderator and I was fully prepared to have to sort of, you know, mute people left, right and centre, block people, like delete comments, all of that. And I put a couple of people in timeout for various reasons, but only like 2 or 3 times, and not for anything bad, just a bit like, you're annoying other people, stop it, and just put them in a timeout. But there was nothing negative going on.
There was no animosity.
Nothing negative.
There was no one being nasty or
No
horrible.
one was using bad language. Like, it was just so positive.
I was using worse language than the chat.
Yeah, yeah, you were.
I kept calling them bastards. I said beautiful bastards.
Yeah.
But I did keep calling them bastards.
You were using bad language in a positive way.
Yeah. At the end, I just couldn't think of other words. I just kept calling. I just going, "Oh, you beautiful!" Like I realised at the end I was delirious.
Yeah.
I didn't feel delirious, but I was going, "Oh, you beautiful bastards! Look at all the money you've done, you Like it just didn't make any sense.
Your brain just defaulted.
It was just like, "Well, they're bastards. Tell them. Tell them." Yeah, it was a bit. No, but that's a very good point. The first time you muted someone was, I remember, it was about 23 hours and 55 minutes, because I remember thinking we've got a full 24 hours, and it was only because they made a joke about £1,000 donation, which got us all excited, and then it had gone, and you kind of went.
It was just like ever so slightly distasteful.
It was just a badly timed joke, and you just went, "Oh, do you know what? Don't do that. Here's a little 300-second timeout," which we maybe didn't need to do, because I think they felt bad enough already. But that puts into context. That puts into context how long we went before there was incident and how small the incident was.
Yeah, it was nothing really, and I maybe overreacted, but I was just like, "No, this is so positive. Stop it."
Yeah, you
and I didn't block them or anything. I just put them in a little timeout. Just have a think.
Abusing your moderator powers. I've seen it on the internet before.
I've never been
you
a
should
moderator.
You should go on Reddit. They love abusing their moderator powers.
I've never been a moderator before, and you didn't even show me what to do. I just realised that I had a little spanner, and I was like, okay. And I clicked on a comment, and I was like, oh, these are my options for if things take a dive. So I was like, oh, okay, I've got something in my eye. I'm so sorry.
That's all right that you got something in your eye, because this part's about to end, and we're about to head on to part 3. So you sort yourself out, love. Welcome to part 3. I think we have probably discussed the stream in as much detail as we need to, because I think most people that will watch this probably saw parts of the stream, probably got to grips with it, you know. And the main thing is we did a stream. It was tiring but great, and we loved it, and it was good fun. I mean, I suppose the one thing we could say is we had some fantastic people come on board, didn't we?
Yeah.
You know, Max Fosh came on for a bit, and there was a live Q&A with Max Fosh.
Yeah, that was fun. It was really impromptu, and I think that's what made it really nice.
Yeah, we had a young man who, by the time most people will see this, will now be 15, but he was 14 at the time.
Yes.
Who did some magic on the stream, and that was so nice, because he just offered on the chat to do some magic on the stream.
Yeah.
And then helped us raise money, because we said, okay, if you want to see him do magic, you have to hit this fundraising target.
Yeah.
And then he blew everyone's minds with some up close streaming magic. It was incredible, wasn't it?
It was really cool. So that was Will France.
Will France, yeah. And then he offered to come back the next day and do the same thing and do new tricks.
Yeah.
So he came on twice.
Yeah, he was brilliant, and happy birthday to him as
yeah,
well.
Happy birthday on
For
the
the
16th, I think.
Yeah.
So the people that are seeing this on Valentine's Day, which is the patrons, you feel free to wish him happy birthday. If you're watching this afterwards, he's already 15.
But he was brilliant, and it was just something so different, and like you say, like he didn't just come on and do magic. He was like, no, I'm only gonna come back if you raise some more money. So he was well on board with why we were there.
And talking of perhaps lesser known people, we also had. So we did a game of Quiplash in the evening, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we were meant to have some people there that weren't available, and so you stepped up.
I did, yeah.
And you became available, and we played with Alfie Indra, the incredibly talented musician Alfie Indra, who took a battering in Quiplash.
He did.
We took Dan Trelfer, who's literally the author of 2 books, you know,
brilliant guy. Took everything
very
humor.
funny. And then the beautiful Cookie, who is meant to be the guest on this podcast,
who you will hear from very soon,
and we'll hear his thoughts on how it went. And then of course, long-term friend of the channel, who I've done several videos with now, Robbie Knox.
Yeah.
That was quite good, wasn't it? I think, and then we had a young man called Fraser in the chat say, "I will donate 200."
Yeah.
to mind.
Yeah, just
if
really, he was
if,
really bold.
If I can play in the game. And I'll be honest with you, because it was live, I didn't know how to react to it, because part of me was like, I don't want people to feel like they have to pay to be part of this game. That seems wrong, but at the same time I was like, well, the point of this is to raise money for charity, and actually this is quite a fun way to do it. So big up Fraser and
Fraser Oliver.
And getting him on board.
Yeah.
So I suppose we haven't talked about the guest element. That was good, wasn't it? All the people that got involved.
Yeah, really appreciated it, because it was just such a nice way to support you through it.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, you were so switched on for the whole 32 hours, and to have some other people in there just helping along the way, supporting, was just really, really lovely.
And we had some other bigger YouTubers in the chat. Like there was Giuseppe was there the whole time.
Giuseppe
stayed up with me all night until like 7 in the morning,
Yeah.
just like keeping me company. I think Blue Van Man and Chris the Butcher were involved. I can't remember exactly.
Scott and Wonder's World.
Stevie White was in for a little bit.
Came
And
in.
anyway, the point is like it was in the chat as well. There was lots of like people getting involved and enjoying the sort of the lovely vibe, which was nice. So
the Our House podcast.
The Our House podcast.
There.
All sorts of people that I've done podcasts with. You know, Malachi and Cody were. Oh, actually, let's talk about, there was Malachi and Cody were moderators, but they also helped me through the night shift with Tuzel and my friend Rob.
Yeah.
And
Rob.
they actually there was a bit where all those things that I'd mentioned attacked my stomach quite suddenly and attacked my bowel, and I don't want to go into it too much because I didn't even mention it on the stream, but I had to go to the loo reasonably abruptly. Fortunately I wasn't in there for long because everything that was in me was in quite a rush to get out.
Okay. And moving on.
So I don't even think people knew I went for anything other than a wee. Anyway, TMI. But they took over the stream at that point and kept control of it. I mean, I did come back to find that Giselle was trying to encourage the chat to be less lovely.
But I would like to offer my thanks as well, actually, to Cody and Malachi and Tuzel and Rob for being there overnight while I went and had a sleep. Because that was the only time, because I was trying my best to give you all the support that I could, and I thought the best way for me to support you through the next day was for me to have a sleep.
Should we talk about...
So thank you to those guys.
Should we talk about the fact that also you played trombone on the stream?
I did play trombone, and I was not expecting that at all.
Well, you set a little donation goal, like, okay, I'll play trombone if you do this. And not only that, you went and learned the Boy John theme music.
I did, and I cannot stress you, I've not picked up that trombone for...
a while. A long while.
2 years.
A long while.
A really long time. Like, I'm not even joking, just slightly less than 2 years since I've picked up that trombone. Like, it's you know, I played it a lot as a child, but it's not really a part of my life anymore.
No, you just
you
just own a trombone.
I just own a trombone now, and it's
it just takes up space somewhere.
Yeah, but it was brilliant to get it out again, and I had no idea that I could bash something out like your theme tune.
How did it feel? How did it feel to learn it and play it for the stream? It
was fun. I was terrified though, because I thought like I could just really embarrass myself here.
No, I think. How can the trombone be embarrassing?
It can be embarrassing. I'm the one who sat there in like a big orchestra of 60 people and like let go of my slide, which by the way comes straight off the bottom. So you let go of it and it went sliding right under to like the front of the orchestra, just under everyone's seats. Just bye-bye slide. Off it goes. Can't play the trombone anymore. Mid-piece.
For a whole show, or?
It came back to me slowly, but...
Well, just people like kicking it back.
Yeah, it was really bad.
Like someone's seen that come between the legs and thinking that's probably important.
Yeah. So, you know, it can be embarrassing, believe me.
All right.
But yeah.
But that didn't happen on stream.
It didn't happen on stream. I managed to keep it together.
So So I suppose I think the main thing is you were the biggest support of it, really.
I tried. Yeah.
You tried. You were there quite a lot.
I tried my best.
So that was the stream.
Yeah.
What do I do for my 33rd?
Not that again. Can we please just celebrate like I'll just cook you dinner or something?
Do you know what? I don't know. I don't know when, or where, or how, which is a lot of things. I would love to do something like that again, because honestly, I couldn't think of a better way to have actually celebrated my birthday in the end. It just felt unbelievably positive. I've said this so many times, but I've been so fixated for ages on what I can't do because of lockdown, that actually the reason this came about is because I was thinking, no, not what can't you do, what can you do? And then it just ended up being such an amazing positive experience. Like the gift that everyone in the chat gave me of being so amazing and lovely and positive was just unrivaled. And I couldn't get over it. Like the thing is even now, we're still raising money. Like, it's
Yeah.
still getting donations.
Still going.
That's how sort of beautiful this little moment was, and you could really tell that by the energy in the final bit. And I'm really gutted that YouTube has clipped it out of my what do you call it? I don't know. It's clipped it out of the playback of the stream. It's gone. It only saved 12 hours of the last little bit. So, which is such a shame. But that last little bit, just the energy was just.
I think you know what? People don't need to watch it back. The people that were there know.
They know it was just I feel like it was quite an
was.
impactful moment.
Yeah.
In time, and that was
that.
So, the point I was getting at is I don't know where, I don't know when, I don't know how, I don't know what it will look like, but I would like to do something like that again. I do think I'd like to maybe even do the exact same thing again. I don't know.
Who knows?
Who knows? But I think it's amazing what we were able to achieve, because it was only a small channel, you know. I'm very proud of my channel, but and I'm very proud of my audience, but it's still only a small channel. So for us to be able to raise that much money for charity felt significant.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Oh, right. Well, I suppose that's probably as good a place as any. Normally at the end of the podcast, I'd say something like, well, where would you go on the way home? Are we going anywhere on the way back from this beer garden today?
I think on the way back from a beer garden, you sort of go for a stroll, don't you? You're not going straight home because you probably had a few drinks in the day.
We're day drinking. It's very different. It's day drinking, very different to how we normally do this.
So we're going to go for a stroll, and then we're probably just going to have some dinner, and like, it'd be great if we were walking back home to a barbecue or something.
Yeah, so does that lead to even more day drinking then?
Probably, yeah. Going
into the evening. So we've hit this beer garden quite early on. Are we here at sort of midday-ish?
Yeah.
Right, okay, so we're going back for a barbecue.
Yeah.
So normally I'd say, how would you cure your hangover? But it sounds like we're going to have a hangover at about 8 o'clock.
No, because we're going to go to bed, and the hangover will happen while we sleep.
Right, okay. Is that how it works,
yes,
is it?
That's how it works.
Well, I feel like this has been a very successful trip to the Purple Pig for them.
Yeah, I would say so.
Well, Charlie, thank you so much for coming back.
That's okay.
And thank you for agreeing to do this about an hour ago.
Yeah.
when the shall we say, what shall we say? I'm just going to say it as it is. When the shit hit the fan, and I realised that I deleted Cookie's podcast. Cookie is the next guest on the podcast. So if you have any questions for him, actually, to be honest with you, don't leave them because I'll probably recorded it by the time most people have seen this.
Yeah.
But you will get to see Cookie in the next one. But please leave comments anyway. I will read them out in future episodes. Be sure to like the podcast as well, and let me know who you would like to see in future episodes of the Purple Pig podcast. That would be really nice if we could could get some ideas for future guests and for ideas for what I should be doing for my 33rd birthday.
It's a bit soon to consider that.
No, it's not. It might be a massive challenge. You never know. 32 countries or something like crazy. No.
Oh God.
I think it'd be quite good.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching again. Thank you, Charlie, for coming back to the Purple Pig podcast. Anything you want to say before we go?
No, just thank you for all the support over the past few days, really.
Yeah, what she said.